about my life. When you come to my rescue 1,000 times, every other voice it is a lie. Worry about my life. God provides when you. So why do I worry about my life? When you come to my rescue 1,000 times, every other voice it is a lie. God provides, God provides in ways I can't explain and can't deny. The little that I have he multiplies. Just when I feel he won't show up on time, God provides. He'll come through when the clouds of doubt rain down on you and test everything you thought you knew. Now you finally see what God can do for you. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. God provides. It's hard to say when there's no food to eat, or what you see feels all that life will be. And will this be another year of misery for me? But my faith can't survive on just things I see, and my feelings can't control my destiny. See, God, I only want what you believe for me. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Ooh, watch God provide. Tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is hearing me.
Hi, sis. Good
Good
evening.
evening, we are hearing.
Good evening.
All right. Thank you. Good. So good night, everyone, and welcome to yet another Tuesday night session via Zoom. And we know that this is Stewardship Month and we are having finance seminars. And tonight's topic is Retirement and You. And it's hosted by none other than one of our very own, Brother Roger Brumant. But before we start, could I ask somebody to open us in a word of prayer, please? Anybody, don't all rush at once. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Thanks, Aunt Sharon.
Father, we give you thanks, we give you praise, we give you honor and glory tonight. We bless your name. You are the great and ever wise God. And we thank you, O God, that you called us from darkness into light. And we thank you tonight, O God, Father, that you are interested in our entire being. And so tonight, O God, we thank you, O God, for the opportunity where we can sit and we can learn and plan for our future and that of our children and our grandchildren and those generations to come. We thank you for Sister Davi tonight, and we thank you for Brother Roger, oh God, as he would host. We pray, oh God, as he pours out, you will pour back into him. Father, may he speak with clarity. May he speak with understanding. Help us, oh God, open up our spiritual ears and eyes that we can hear and see what's happening in this season, Lord God, so that we will be well prepared. Father, we pray a blessing upon each home represented here tonight, oh God, Father, and we know that when we are finished tonight, we will be richer and more empowered for the information that we would receive. So continue to bless us, bless our senior pastor and his family, oh God, as we would just continue, Father, to draw closer to you, to be strengthened by you, oh God, Father, in every area of your life, of our lives. We give you thanks, we give you praise, honor, and glory, dear God. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Sister Sharon Seeley, for that lovely prayer. And as you have rightfully prayed, even to the beginning, God is interested in every affair of our lives, and that includes our finances. He is the God of plenty. He has created all, and he's the one who supplies all our needs. So as part of the finance seminars, things and planning for our lives, our financial future, it's so pertinent for us in everything that we do. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenter for tonight. A son of the soil, Brother Roger Brumant. He is married with 2 children. He is currently the director at RIIB Financial Services Limited with over 20 years experience. He holds a Bachelor of Science with distinction in Business Administration and Finance. He is an MFA, that's a Master Financial Advisor, an FSS, Financial Services Specialist. He's a member of Guardian Life of the Caribbean Limited Education Committee, a member of the TTAIFA, and that's the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, their Education Committee. He's the chairman of the Nazarene District Pension and Benefits Board, an avid runner and nature enthusiast. He has a desire to develop plans that serve clients with excellence. I just want to add in a plug here. Before he was all these things, the first time I met Mr. Brumant, he was teaching mathematics at my secondary school. So that's another thing added to his resume. But he is a man with a wealth of knowledge and a passion to help people. So let's give him our undivided attention as he hosts this session on retirement. Good night, Brother Brumant.
A pleasant good night to everyone. I'm hoping that you hear me very clearly. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So a pleasant good night, everyone. Today is going to be interactive because you will have some parts to play with it. My involvement here is really to give you some ideas as to what retirement planning is. how to properly prepare some of the roadblocks that are there that may be in your way, some things that you may need to consider when you are preparing for retirement. And at the end of it, if there are any questions that you will want to ask me, please feel free. I want to say something right now. I actually stayed into the building, my workplace, because I didn't want to miss the session. Because if I moved from where I was from the last appointment to now, I think I might have been late. So I stayed back in the building. So I have a little bit of disclaimer here. Now, while I'm sitting here, our building is a smart building, right? So I want to tell you up front. If by any chance you see it get a little bit darker, it's because the lights went out. So I just want to say that one time, and I will not be able to get up to go and go outside to get the lights back on smartly. So just work with me. As you see, if the lights go off, please note it's because of that reason. All right. So just to bring it. So the question is, will you enjoy your retirement, or will you retire from your enjoyment? And to bring some context of what it is, we must get into the first step of what actually is retirement and retirement planning. All right. So retirement planning is really the process of determining your retirement income, your actions and decisions necessary to achieve those goals. Retirement includes the sources of your retirement income, estimating your expenses, implementing a savings plan, and managing your assets and risk. Now, the thing about it is that everyone, whether you are pre-retirement, in retirement, or post-retirement, you only stop planning for retirement when you die. So even though you have already passed the retirement age, you are still in the retirement planning phase, and it's important for us to continue to plan so that you can retire within dignity. So what is the traditional forms of retirement planning? The traditional forms. You know, the one that we call the traditional, one of the traditional is when you finish, you're done. You close the door on work and you never look back at work again, ever. Right? Of course, that will take a lot of proper planning because you will have the necessary resources that you will need so that you will not outlive your resources and end up in a bad situation, right? Then you have the semi-retirement planning, which means that although you have retired, you still continue to work in some measure or the other, but you scale it back a little and you have more flexible hours and you can spend more time on your leisure activities. So that's the second type. And then it has temporary retirement. These are short-term periods of leisure that are sandwiched between your careers and on-call careers. So it's just between each one and you're not fully operating, but yet you are still working. So that is important, one of the things. So why is retirement planning very important in today's world? And why it's so important today? Well, it's the three things several things, but one of the most important one is that one, people are living much longer than before. So because of the advancement of medicine and so forth, they give people a little more life. And therefore, you're living up to 20 or 30 years after you retire. The good thing is about I can give you that because of my grandfather. And when he retired, he actually died at 100, to be precise. So I have a little way to go. So he died at 100. And when he died at 100 and retired just around 60. So, you have 40 years. And by the time, when he was at that time, a police officer, at that time, when he retired, he got $150 a month. Now, the thing about retirement is whatever you get is whatever you're going to get, whatever they give you at retirement is what you're going to live on for the rest of your life. Did you imagine what happened to him 20 years after with $150 a month? Then it went to 30 years with $150 a month. Then it went to 40 years with $150 a month. So one of the things as we go along that we have to take into consideration very seriously is the major man in this whole retirement called inflation. That is a very important factor that you have to consider, especially when you are retiring. So seeing that we need more money ever now than before, things are getting a little more expensive, then it is important or prudent for us to save early in retirement, for retirement. It is not too late, however. If you are closer to retirement, it just means that you will have to put aside a little bit more, right? And how much, what is the lifestyle that you will want to live during your retirement? What type of lifestyle? So whether you want to live an average lifestyle, a reasonable lifestyle, a significant lifestyle, whatever it is, it really takes planning. Because the truth is, whether you plan or not, it is going to plan for you. And that is a significant thing that you must remember. Whether you plan for it or not, it is well planned for you. The only thing that stops retirement is death. So it plans you all the same. And the question is, after I've worked so hard, do I have enough money to enjoy the balance of my life? Because that's what retirement is. From the time that you retire to the time that you die, how comfortable you want to be in that period of time, and how worry-free that you want to be. You see, most people, as we did our surveys and we looked at the cause of death after retirement, and the number one cause of death after retirement is stress, financial stress. And so we have to be very careful that when we are doing our planning, that we avoid this one as much as we can. For the essence of it, and all of us who have gone through it or have already gone through it, is the fact that when you look in the mirror, you might see a young person now. But there are persons here who, when at one time, when they look in the mirror, they were young, and now when they look in the mirror, you become older. So the essence of retirement planning is to avoid the young person spending all the money that the older person will need later on. Or even while you're retired, that you don't overspend, so that you will not be able to continue to live comfortably during the time of your retirement. So it's prudent that the only difference between your retirement and working is the fact that you are not working. That is the only difference. Everything else remains the same. You have to pay the bills as everything else, but the difference is that you are not going to work. Right? So it's important, even as you retire, to continue to use the prudent measures. Have your reserve account, your emergency funds, everything the same way. You're saving the same way as you would have done while you were working. Very important. So I want to do a little test with you. Every one of you, once you have a pen or any instrument that you could take, or if you have a really good photogenic memory, they could take the questions down and answer as best as you can, right? So I'm going to give you the questions now. So the first question is, will is yes or no, right? So you put yes or no. Will your pension and other income allow you to maintain your current standard of living? Yes or no, right? So you put it down. We have a few things. Yes or no. Let's go to the next one. Are you looking forward to your retirement? Yes or no? And if you retire, you still have to look for the rest of your life, right? So you can answer it that way. Have you developed concrete plans for retirement activities to take place of work? Very important. Yes or no? Does your spouse support your retirement plans or continue to support your retirement plans, right? Have you decided where you want to live after retirement? Have you decided? Do you have good friends who are not co-workers? Yes or no? Are you now engaged in activities that will keep you physically fit after retirement? Have you had a physical examination in the past year to determine whether you have any health conditions that may restrict your retirement activities? Is your intake of alcohol moderate? No, this, well, let me leave that alone. Right? Is your alcohol moderate to 2 drinks a day? No, I'm not promoting anything. I'm just asking the questions to persons. All right. We have a wide global platform. Are you within 10 pounds of your ideal weight? So I'll give you just a few seconds to answer the yes or no. Take it again if you want to read it through again for yourself. And then we will answer, then we'll have the solution for you. All right, so I'll just give you a few seconds again. Okay, so let's see what's happening. If it is suggested that fewer, and that was the lights off, right? Fewer than 6 yes answers to the questions above would suggest that the individual is not ready for retirement. So if you have fewer than 6 yeses to the questions above, then it will clearly suggest that you need some retirement planning sessions. All right? So it's important. So let's look at things that you need to consider when you are retired. Things that you need to consider that when you die. First thing is things to replace work. I have a very, very funny story. The thing is that I know of one of my clients, and she was doing very well. She never really take any time away from her workplace. So she retired very comfortably on the Friday. Everybody say hello, bye-bye, and all of that. It was really a nice ceremony, for a function that is. And on Monday, put on her clothes, normal, and drive into the people and them compound. Normal. Only to be braced by of course, the security. When it was to go into the pale, because she came into the compound and braced. They're thinking that she going in just to pick up a few things. The woman came to work, And it's only to be braced by the front desk staff saying, hey, wait. And she said, but I don't understand. Forget clean that she retired, She's so accustomed. And as extreme as this may sound, it did happen, But as extreme it is, she knew nothing else but work. So how prepared are you when you are retired to leave work? And then it have, what are you considering the increased expenses that you will have? Remember, you are only going to get a flat salary, a flat income. There's no increase in it in any way. So as the income remains the same and the expenses are increased, then what position will you be in the next 5, 10, 15 years? So it's important for you to plan for those different time or phases in your retirement life. Important. And payment for additional assistance. Right now, where it exists in my situation, I saw the changes of my neighbor between the last 5 years, the last 5 to 10 years. He's not able to push a lawnmower anymore. And that happened in the last 3 years or so. And there are certain things that he cannot do, or he does it with some form of difficulty. So the question is really, when that time comes, you have to do it. The grass can't grow as tall as the roof. So you had to have somebody cutting the grass now, who working on the car, changing the oil that you're accustomed doing. And you think so that is so natural and normal. It becomes very, very difficult. Once the fingers are not working how it's supposed to, and it cannot move as fast as you will want to, right? And who's going to paint the house that you feel so proud of when you paint it all by yourself in the first instance, or paint the room? When the issue of balance is now a concern for any person, and for anybody who knows this, balance is the number one priority when you are getting older. You cannot fall. So balance becomes it. So when you come into painting rooms, you know what the situation becomes. So you know how to be looking at that. Looking at the group health and group life and the maturity data are also very important. Because what happens is that once you leave the group, when you retire, there are no more plans. So here goes your group life. that you may have been the only thing that you have in terms of insurance, and your group health. So therefore, now you are exposed because there's nothing left if you die, or there's no health benefit if you go to the doctor. So what is fundamental is before you retire, and sometimes they have eligibility periods whereby it had to be at age 55, that is the last entry date. It is very important for you to know these dates. Why? Because if you miss the date, you cannot get the insurance thereafter. So it's important that you check your plans. Some plans have a transferability, which means you could transfer it into a permanent plan or transfer it into a plan that you can go along with. Some companies have plans where they allow you to stay on when you are retired so that you can continue to participate in the fund, right? Or the plan, which is important. So you need to check your plan and see how it is operating at retirement. Sometimes the benefits are reduced. Check your plans. Make sure you understand what will be reduced, what is clear. It will be reduced or taken away. It's one of the two, right? So if it is taken away, you will know that before the time. Find a plan, a suitable plan for you before that time, so that you will continue to have your coverage through in retirement, right? How about your long-term disability and health care? Menopause, osteoporosis, all of those things are very important at this point in time. So you have to prepare yourself, understand how your body will change. It's not until when you reach there to know, is when now it's time to prepare, get to a doctor, or start to read. The University of YouTube will tell you a lot of things and confirm it with doctors to what really actually happens. There are basic things that happen to both men and women. Check on it, prepare yourself for it. Make sure you're taking necessary vitamins, eat properly. It is very, very important. And during this point in time, we don't like to talk about it, but it is a fact of life that you may lose loved ones, especially like when you live to 100, you lose a lot of loved ones. And are you prepared? Are you preparing yourself for that? Because let's just say you and your spouse, your part of your generation lives to 100. Your spouse only makes 75 or even 65. So you have 25 years after to think or to live on your own with somebody you have lived for with a considerable period of time. So it's things that you have to start to prepare for. And then your legal documentation, which includes your will. Listen, people have been here long enough to see, even up to today's date, that people fight and fight and fight for property. And when you hear about estate planning, which is part of retirement planning, estate planning and estate in itself means everything that you own from your pen straight down to your clothes forms your estate. And during retirement planning, as I said, between retirement and death, that's the next step. If anything like this should happen, you should have a proper will. And we have lawyers, I know, probably on the platform or in the church and otherwise. Find a lawyer who can help you prepare your will and your savings and understanding taxes, which is very, very important. All right? Other things to consider. Taxes. I want to tell you people, when you retire, don't stop paying taxes. I don't know where people get this thing from and stop filing income tax. I don't know where it comes from, but I need to bring it back. So if you throw it away, try to find it wherever you throw it and bring it back in, please. Because the fact is, once you get income over $7,000 a month, which is $84,000 a year, you're going to pay taxes. And if you don't pay taxes, the Board of Inland Revenue, the one that you're so happy that you're no longer participating or coming to haunt you on your salary for the rest of your life, you will soon find them revisiting you. So it is important for you to understand that even when you are taxes, and for everybody outside of Trinidad and Tobago, it also applies to you. Whatever is your personal allowances, once it goes beyond that, you need to get your taxes in order. For Trinidad and Tobago, NIS. Now I must remind you, to get your full benefits, you must contribute 750 contributions. That is the minimum that you need in order for you to get a decent pension. Now, I also want to bring the one time to remember NIS is a social benefit. We have some issues right now whereby the amount of benefits that are being paid is just about more than the amount of contributions being received. So right now, the NIS board or the NIB, they are working hard to see what measures they have to put in place to ensure that the sustainability of that particular fund will be able to carry everyone who is in it. Which means is two things could happen, and this is what you have been hearing on recently, the government increasing the age from 60 to 65, and also the contribution that each person will pay based on the class of your salary class. So it's two things in order to balance it off very, very equally. And also be looking at debts, right? Debts. And your debts should die at retirement. It should not cross retirement. However, there are several circumstances that you started a little bit later, your mortgage goes beyond. It does not mean, and you can talk to your advisor, it does not mean because you retire, you're going to take all your money and pay off your mortgage. That's another issue I see. And then when something comes up, you don't have any money to deal with it. So therefore, an emergency come up, you don't know what to do, you're going to the bank and borrow a loan. You could have simply waited. You see, the thing about mortgages, and I just want to plug in here a little bit. The thing about mortgage, it starts with a very high interest and less principal. And as the time goes on, it kind of switches to more to the principal and less to the interest. So it might be wise now to ensure that it runs, and you sit down with your planner again, or your advisor, and you go through the balance of the amortized schedule to see how much is going to interest. Now, based on how much is going to interest, if you have to pay $2,000 more in interest for the rest of the duration of the loan, it really doesn't make sense to try to pay off that and not have money in your hands. You might as well just keep paying and get your $2,000, pay off the $2,000 and have a whatever lump sum you have for an emergency purpose, rather than if the emergency come up, you go in the bank and you end up paying more than the $2,000. So there are certain things that take into consideration once you are doing this retirement. And again, comes up to the group plans, just a gentle reminder that you will make sure you check on your group plans. Another thing with the NIS, just to add, make sure before a year or something before, check on your NIS contributions to ensure that they line up. Because sometimes they're out of thing, and if you have to go to your, hopefully that the person's or the employer is wrong or the business is still wrong, that you're going to have to go back and get your contributions somehow or the other, so they can reckon it with you. So it's important. Also, another error. Once you are a government worker, it does not mean as soon as you retire, you're going to get your money immediately. It takes some time for you to get that money. So it's important for you to put measures in place to support you for at least 12 to 24 months of income that you will need after retirement. That is why it's important to have your fund rather than to pay it off, right? So whatever little savings plan you have, try to hold it close for at least 24 months of your income. Make sure you have 24 months of income that you will need at retirement, because you don't know when, especially a government worker, when that money is going to be released through the whatever Ministry of Finance, etc. All right, so it's important to put aside 24 months so that you will not feel the squeeze in any way. All right, so let's look at some critical issues that affects retirement. When you're going to retire is the first one. It will determine how much accumulation time. Now, if you're late and you have 5 more years, well, you know you need to put aside a little bit more or change your retirement age, one of the two. How long are you going to last? Based on, nobody knows. There's God really is in charge of all of this. But based on your family history, you might have a kind of idea of how long you're going to live for, right? And that will determine your guarantee period for those who have contracts like annuity contracts and deferred annuity contracts. And so that is a very pertinent factor to determine how much guarantee years after you retire you will want to receive your money. Financial preparedness. How versatile are you during retirement? Where are your plans, your instruments are going to be matured? What time frame, right? How are your debts? How it's going and when it is going to cross? How much years after retirement are these debts going to before going? Yeah. Government concerns, changes in economic structure and policies that may affect you, and one of them being NIS. They could just say, okay, well, this is social and we cannot continue anymore. As much as it might sound impossible, but it have to be protection, right? Change in the face of retirement, what is happening? Are they going to increase the age? So when you're thinking it was going at 60, they tell you 65 or 70 before you get your government pension. And you were looking so much to retiring at 60. But they say, well, listen, based on this and this factor and the oil and economics, you cannot retire at 60 anymore. We need you for another 5 years. And you were real poised for 60. And those are some of the concerns that we have. The demographics of the baby boomers, 1946 to 1964, they are a lot. And therefore, they're coming out into the economy. And with that being said, it is going to impact the financial situation. It is not a negative thing. It's just what it is. And as such, we have to be prepared for them because they are coming out of the system in one another and coming into the system, which means that it will have some kind of financial impact. And if they are not healthy in any way, then they're going to have a health impact on the system also, which means that they cannot afford, some people, they may not be able to afford their normal private visitations to the institution. So they come into the public to make sure it happens. And there's where the situation starts to get real. So in your sense, make sure that you understand these are the things that will be affecting and what are the sources that you will have for your retirement, which is important. So mentioning that the sources of it, let's look at the 3 major sources that normally, or the traditional sources of retirement income. There's the employer where you work, and if you are self-employed, well, then you are responsible for your retirement package. There's a government benefit if you're a government worker, or if you're dependent on the NIS. Now, I want to bring into the light one time an important thing called old age pension. Now, I know some of you have in your minds that you are entitled to old age pension. I've heard it many times as I sit planning with people. Well, I go and get my old age pension. No, you are not. Based on your income is what will determine whether you get an old age pension or not. Once you start to receive anything over 2000, 2005, and going forward, you have nothing to receive. Just to take notes. So you must be clear what an old age pension is. The old age pension is a social benefit for persons who are underprivileged and cannot or did not prepare properly for their retirement, and therefore will get a pension. It is not for persons who have worked for the last 33 and 30 years and did not put proper measures in place. And they're receiving some kind of pension as well as NIS. Just want to say to you, you may not at all receive the old age pension, right? It's a social benefit. And then your personal savings plans, wherever it may come from, right? So these are the traditional, the employer, the government, and your personal saving plan. However, there are some adjustments that could be done to these. So they have improved these to include now annuities, and I'll talk a little bit about big crime in a little bit. That's big crime you see in there. Rental income, profit from business, returning to work, and reverse mortgages. Just in case you want to know what a reverse mortgages is, that you have equity in a house and the bank decided to lend you a little something on that. So therefore you take out equity on your home. Right, so but you have to be very careful on how you exercise this particular option, or they tell you take out an extra loan. That's what it basically is tell you when you retire. Hey, you know you have $1.5 million in equity because you finished pay off it. We will lend you a little $300,000 for you to enjoy your life. So go on your vacations and all kind of stuff. Trust me, if you do not pay back the persons their money, there goes your $1.5 million house. So be very careful when you are making these kind of decisions. Sit down with an advisor to put on the table what you plan to do and then execute accordingly. Don't be hasty with the nice flowery ads. Come and do this. It's yours now. You can relax. Don't bother with that. Don't forget that. Be wise. Always have your head on. All right? Very important. And this is the big crime, which is the other version. It is banks, the insurance policies that may have cash surrender values, gratuity, credit unions, real estate, right? And the value of it, you might be renting it or as the case may be. Inheritance, somebody give you some money, mutual funds, and equity, which is shares and so forth. Right, so these are other sources that you can, for the younger ones or even the persons who are already retired, these are some of the sources you could also put money into for you to get to your retirement, all right? Comfortable with your retirement or plan for your retirement, as it may be. Roadblocks to retirement and savings for retirement. The tendency, as with all of us, to spend all of our income, right? It's just spending everything when you're supposed to be saving during your accumulative stage. So it's important for us to be aware that you have another phase to go through, which is retirement. Or even in your retirement, don't go and spend out everything, you go and cruise and all kind of thing, and then end up with no money. I know of a person who did that. He get $150,000, and well, that was it. At least he saw it. Most important thing, at least he see it. So the unexpected expenses, like an emergency fund, something happened, a truck run into your wall, you didn't have no insurance, you had to put back up the wall, it cost you $40,000. Can't leave your wall undone because of the situation now, right? So we need to put back up the wall. Inadequate insurance coverages, so you get something happen, and you know what we, in our industry, we say that it is around after retirement that you're more likely to get a critical illness or a disability, all right? So you have to prepare for that. Divorce, which means half your money gone, basically. All things, all due respect, it is what it is, but half of your savings gone. Half of your salary gone, basically. So be mindful of that. Your employment plan's gone. Your employer, sorry. It's gone. Loss of job, frequent employment changes is something also that you will have to be mindful of because you can't get a job anyway. Nobody is going to hire, as we say, the senior citizens. You have people with dependents with special needs. You have to take care of them, even though you retire. They're not retired and they are not dead. So you have to take care of them, right? Especially parents. And then you have the education funding. If you start late in the game, when you retire, they're still 17. So you still have to take care of them straight until that time. And you're getting half your income. So it's important for you to consider this while you are doing it. So as we go along, you'll recognize that even as we plan, we have to take in consideration the big mister I was telling you about, called inflation. So we have to take into consideration Mr. Inflation, which is the steady loss of your purchasing power. It destroys the value of your money over time, right? So what you have set aside today will not have the same spending power over the period of time. And anybody that is found on a fixed income will experience some devastation if you don't have buffers during the period of time over your retirement period, right? So it's important. And just to share with you, one of them is you're looking at this. And I'll just show you quickly. If you look at this here, you will see that what is costing $1, let's say in 1 year, let's say day one this year, is $1, right? In 22 years, this is what you're going to pay for that same thing. Or if a pen costs $1, just to make it a little more simple, if a pen costs $1, in 22 years, at a 6% inflation, that pen will cost $3.20. So therefore, what you need $100 for now, you need $320 for it then after the next 20 years. So you can imagine you live until 30 years now, you're paying $5.75 for that same thing. And you imagine you just only have the same amount of income. So you know what's going to happen, right? We are going to have some problems. Let's see how severe those problems can be. Let's look at an example. Somebody started with this amount of income. For simplicity, they had a pension and they had NIS. So the total income they needed was $11,000 and they had no problems in the inflation, so they live comfortable. 5 years after that, the pension went up a little, NIS went up, I'll show you what it is. But look at the income required. It went up to 13,000 and a reduction, what it's going down to now. The purchasing power of this now becomes 9,000. Look it up again. In 25, it goes up. But however, the purchasing power of it goes down. So although it is going up in one instance in terms of money and so forth, in the next instance, it's going down. So what you could have buy with the same amount of money now becomes a very much an issue as the time goes on by the power that it has in order to buy. So you will end up with a really some grave some concerns during that period of time. So I want to do a very quick case study with you so you can understand the dynamics of a person who is working and what happens, especially, I'm using this one, especially for the public servants. We have several of them, but it will also be in the prison service, police service, whatever it is a similar formula, so you can use it for that. So let's look at it. So Carol Doyle is entered the public service at age 35. She's now 55 and plans to retire at age 60. She estimated the pre-retirement income will be $5,000. That's what she will need, right? She has savings that will accumulate about $60,515 at age 60. What will be her total anticipated income at age 60? So let us use some assumptions. I have to use some assumptions to calculate this. The first assumption is that 80% of the pre-retirement income will be needed to support her during the period of time. 68% of the 5,000, right? Entire gratuity will be invested. She's taking the whole lump sum that the government will give her and invest it in an interest-bearing instrument. And then the total saving that she have accumulated, which is what you just see, it will be invested at a 7% interest. Now seeing that, let's look at what happens to her. So firstly, I want to tell you, for all public servants, this is the calculation they use. all public servants. This is the calculation. They tell you the number of years of employment. So you take the months and multiply by 12, and you put it over 600 and multiply by your last monthly pension income. So your last monthly pension annual will be that monthly pension last multiplied by 12. And your gratuity will be your annual pension, which is this year, multiplied by a quarter, multiplied by 12.15. To make it easy, I know you're going to tell me no mathematics. Yes, Sister Craig, you did tell me I teach mathematics, so I'm making it even easier. You just take the annual pension and you multiply by 3.125. That's what you do. So when you get this figure here, you just multiply by 3.125. So let us look at what it is for her as a person. So bringing it up, everybody, I'm just giving you a little 2 minutes, you can look at it. So you can write it down for all the public servants, etc. Let's look at what happens to her. So therefore, the monthly pension, you remember she worked for that period of time, right? To 25 by 12, which we give her 300 months. You're taking the 300 months and you're putting over the 600 and you're multiplying by the last amount, which is $5,000. So in this sense, the monthly pension will be $2,500, right? To get your annualized pension. Just giving you a little flashback. I'm going back one. Remember this, the annualized pension is your pension by 12, right? So let's go back. So you see it here. So you're taking the annualized, the pension that you would be getting, and you're multiplying it by 12. And then you're multiplying by 3.125. So this is the lump sum that you should be receiving. And this is the monthly pension that she will be receiving, given that she has worked the 300 months, all right, based on her formula. Remember, she started and when she will end, right? So she was 35, she ended up 60, that makes it 25. 25 by 12, 300. And you put that over the 600 and you multiply. All right? Everybody's employment place will be different, but learn your formula. Some people are defined benefits, service providers and so forth might have a benefit, but now is the best time to find out how they calculate yours. Right? I just use this public servants because we have a large, fast persons in the public service. All right. So this is what she will end up with. Investing, as I said, the gratuity, investing the saving that she had. So she will end up with a total income of about $3,400 a month. Right? And with that, she has $3,400 a month. She has expenses of $3,400 a month, holding all expenses stable and only allow food to be affected by inflation. Only the food part. Let's see what happens to Carol over a period of time. So you notice I'm holding all the expenses. So healthcare, these things are coming out, and I use it from 2013, so you can get an idea from what happened from then to now. And you will see, at the beginning, it was nice. Because the money she has to be receiving per month is the same as the money that she will be spending 5 years after. Watch what happens here. So the food went up. When it come down here, look at what happens. This is going to cause stress to this person because she now start to take out things for it to last because she only has this. So what she start to move, first thing she move out is vacation in 2018 because she has to balance it because this is all she has. When it reached 2023, 10 years after, she started to take off the healthcare. She take out the gas and traveling. She take out the entertainment. She take out food and she take out traveling. All she could have done there is eat food and pay the utility bills because that's all the money she had. And this is the reality. People will have to make hard, harsh decisions once the income remains the same, which causes stress, which causes debt. So she has to make decisions, moving out things to just accommodate this. So in 10 years, She just about to feed herself and pay the utility. She had to cut out a lot of things, cut out visiting her grandchildren, cut back on the entertainment significantly. So it started to stretch out. You want to know why or what was the purpose of working all those years? Because she did. The planning was incorrect in some letter. So, where are we? There are two ways that you can evaluate when you meet with your advisor. Two ways to evaluate: by your income replacement method or your expenses method. That's two ways to evaluate your retirement. So you could say, I want to get this amount of income per month and keep it that way over the period of time, please, barring inflation. Or I want to cover my expenses. So it's two different methods. You could say what income you want, or you just want to cover your expenses. So there are two methods of retirement planning that is normally used by financial advisors to keep you on top of things, right? So you're now wondering, partner, Brother Brumant, you know, you said so much things. I wonder if I kind of ready for this thing, boy. I'm thinking. So you have a little mindset thing here, what to do now that I hear all of this information. What am I to do? Am I going to suffer? Of course not, because you just get the information. So what you have to do is action. Awareness, awareness, action. So you were awakened, you are now aware, now it's time to take action. How do I take action? Well, you meet with an advisor or someone who is qualified to do retirement planning. He will determine and recommend for you. You will set your target income, whether it be the expense method or the income method. You will determine both of you will determine, or the group, whatever your desire is, your retirement income. They will determine your retirement expenses and other retirement consideration, which is more psychological more than ever. And if there's a need or a gap, which is the difference of what you need from what you have, then you will have some funding to do. And then they will recommend appropriate retirement solution for you. So hope is not lost. It just takes now to do it. And don't wait another day to put aside for whether you are in retirement or you are outside and retirement and coming towards it. All right. So I want you all to pay attention. Please put aside, and I guess you will be fine. You'll be okay. All right. So I thank you, and I'm asking now if there are any questions. So I'll pass it on, I think, back to Devendra. Sister Devendra.
Yes. Yes, Brother Brumant, thank you so much. That is a whole lot of information, quite eye-opening. And so at this time, feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I'm coming in here. Brumant speaking here. I wanted Brother Brumant to comment on the idea of deed of covenant with the church and the tithe.
Okay, so I have been asked this quite a lot of times, in terms of deed of covenant, and you applying for it through the church, you're paying tithes, and then you are asking the government to replace. It's really a personal thing. I cannot really tell you what to do in terms of that. What I can say is all based with you and your God. There's nothing wrong with it. It's our government went down to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to God the things that are God. If you have made, everybody's personalized, if you have made a decision with God and say, God, I am paying you 100%, everything that I have gotten, then if you do the deed of government, covenant, then whatever you get from it, you need to give him back. Because you have made the covenant and tell him you give him everything. However, everyone's situation is different. A man might say, I have given Caesar I've given God his part, and if I am getting a refund on it, then the part that I have gotten is mine. So it have many different reasons. Really up to you. As a man, the conscience of a man is the guidance, right? So I will say, based on your conscience, if you have a greater confidence towards God, if your heart doesn't feel, right? So it's up to you, really. So I really can't tell you what really to do there. It's your conscience, your God, and your decision you made with him. Yes?
I'm not talking about the choices one has to make, but all I'm saying, what are the returns? If you know, in order to help.
Okay, what are the returns on it?
Yeah, what an informed decision, whichever way you go, because one could decide to get a refund and give all back to God. You understand what I'm saying? So, in other words, instead of giving this money back to the state, you give it to the church.
And that's fine.
So
I'm fine.
So all I'm trying to get a sense of, for those who are not yet informed, if you decide to do that, how much, what is the, how it's worked out? How it's worked out?
Right. So that's a good question. So what happens is that you normally it has to be approved, right, by the Board of England Revenue. So what happens is that you must have a way in which the church will be able to determine how much tithe. You can't go and tell the people they're putting $10,000, right? It must have a way. So one of the ways that I think in that most churches do that, they have an envelope, right? And the envelope will have to have your name. It is important that you put your name and the amount. Whoever is doing the accounting of the church will now tally month by month and put your name against the amount of contributions that you do. Upon that, they have to get the approval from the Board of England Revenue for the amount of contributions that you made. And once they stamp that document and the Board of England Revenue stamp, so it's normally a yearly thing from January till December. Once those things are stamped and approved by the Board of England Revenue, so please put in it, if you are going that way, you have to put it in early enough to give your institution or your church sufficient time to do the stamping and give you the approval, right? So once you get the approval, you attach it to your income tax under the deed of covenant. There's a part of it called the deed of covenant, and they allow you a certain amount. You attach it to your income tax. I think now you have to upload it, actually. Upload that particular document to your tax structure, and the taxes or your amount that you have to pay for taxes are reduced by your allowable amount. Yeah? Are you there? Okay, I guess I answered the question.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. A pleasant good night to you, Brother Brumant.
Pleasant good night to you.
Yes. I have been looking at some of these things for quite a while in terms of financial planning and all of that. But this session tonight, and I hope it's not a one-off session, maybe once a year, as opposed to the amount of ads or the amount of things that keep luring people to keep spending, so that there's no thought of tomorrow. And what is happening is that because of the power of advertising, people have become impoverished. People are buying things that they don't really need. And this is a very, as they say, a very materialistic society, and everybody's catering for instant gratification. My wish is that these sessions, or, just like how we have Sunday school and we have all these other things where we, through repetition, we reinforce certain thrift habits. I am hoping that something like this can happen. So it wouldn't be like a one-off situation, but it would be a continuous effort at educating people towards financial stability and financial prosperity. Your thoughts on this?
I am in total agreement with you. And I'll give you a very simple principle to apply as you mentioned with that. And it could be preached from the altar, or you can sit on the pew and preach it the same way. The principle is the 70-30 rule. The 70-30 rule. What is the 70-30 rule? The 70-30 rule means it gives you 30% towards saving and 70% towards spending. The 30% goes like 10% tithe, given to God, 10% investment, and 10% savings. So you go, that's how you get the 30. And the 70, you do what you have to do. Once you religiously follow this, you will have a successful savings and investment plan, while of course giving back to God what He has blessed you with. So again, 10% tithes, 10% savings, 10% investment. The difference between savings and investment: savings is a short-term plan, and investment is a more longer-term plan. So that's why I distinguish it. So once you put aside 30%, and you will hear they use our model, but they hear new philosophers, pay yourself first. It's the same concept. Pay yourself first means put away things and you deal with the others, which are the bills and so forth. Right? So I agree with you in terms of that. If it is preached the 70-30 rule, I think that will be an excellent start in what you are proposing here tonight.
Great, thank you.
Human here again. Okay, someone is 75 years old, okay? And in terms of the saving and investment, should someone at 75 still be looking at investment or pure savings?
Okay, so it's really based on your goal, your financial goals. There are two things. It is called, when you're saying investment, it have risks that goes along with investments. And then it has preservation, which means you don't want to lose your money. Putting it in the bank is just, let me just put it this way. Any financial institution, they must be able to attract some rates of interest, right? So therefore, if it is that whatever institution you use, you must get some interest from it, or else the inflation will be depleting it. So in terms of investment, once you retire, it doesn't mean that the world stops. All you have to do is do a risk assessment, which tells you the type of risk tolerance you have, which is, if this investment goes down, how fast your heart beats. That's the fastest way to do risk tolerance. So therefore, if your risk tolerance is conservative, it means that you don't like to take risks at all. So you will not be taking any instruments like shares and so forth, because those things are very volatile, which means that it will go up and down. And your heart rate will also be going up and down. So you need to leave the people that alone, all right? You will take more money market funds, which are more stable, and it has a fixed rate. So that is what you'll be looking at. If you are a moderate person, which means that you can take some risk and some security, then you take more funds that are geared. It have mutual funds like that. It have other funds that are geared similar to that preserves your capital and gives you some rate of return. And if you are aggressive, which means, partner, I will put wherever and whatever happen, I know that I put it for a period of time, it is important. So therefore, Brother Brown, if it is that you need to understand, learn the OTR. Take this down, OTR. Your objective, your time frame, and your risk tolerance. Your objective, your time frame, and your risk tolerance. And once you are doing any investment, take notes of that. What is my objective? What is the time I want to do this in? And how risky I'm willing to, what is my risk tolerance, or risky a risk I want to take? All right, so those are the three things I would advise you.
Hi, Brother Brumant.
Yes, there.
Hi, good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have a question, just to kind of piggyback off the topic at hand. You spoke about a couple of things that drew my attention, and one of them is spoke up when you gave the scenario about inflation and the time value of money. But you also mentioned about the 70-30 rule, break down the 30% into 10 for tithe, 10 for saving, and 10 for investment. But with the rate of inflation, shouldn't we be investing more to kind of help match that? Because if you're only putting 10%, and 10% is relative, because I mean, everybody has different income levels, but 10% for the do, I don't think is enough to put what you're trying to match inflation, because you'll be like a running horse, because the inflation is running and your saving is not meeting up with inflation. So the return is not as fast.
Thanks, and I'm agreeing with you. You see,
Risky, but off maybe a little bit better. And another thing, I think one of the things I can combat that if somebody is not interested in the volatility is, at least in Trinidad, because real estate is something that is not coming down in Trinidad. It tends to go up, up, and up. So that is an investment, I think, that will help to combat inflation. So that's just my contribution. And just to answer the question, if you think 10% is enough.
All right. So basically, what one must understand is the time value of money. Time value of money, as you say, time value of money. What your money will be valued over a period of time. So that is a formula that they use, financial advisors use, in order to determine how much you will want to establish over a period of time. So therefore, they will tell you what is your future needs or future value that you will want of a certain amount. And then they will tell you how much interest and how much time you need to get that. So there are two ways that it will be calculated. Is through a monthly payment or a lump sum payment. Do I put a lump sum and get it to that value, or put monthly several contributions? So what you have to determine is what is your objective? I need to save 50,000, and then they will work it backwards and tell you whether you put a lump sum to achieve the 50,000, or do you put a monthly payment, or a combination, we call it hybrid investment, a combination of the two in order for you to achieve your goal. So the 70-30 rule is really a rule that determines the minimum. It's not the maximum. It is the minimum to be applied. New persons, older persons, whatever, to be applied to have some measure of savings in your portfolio. So that's the reason for it. The 70-30 rule is the minimum. So as you rightly say, it will not be the one that for persons with inflation, but it sure helps you in some way than none at all. So that's why we use that rule to make sure at least get a level to start off with, and then you can platform from that point onwards.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Brother B, Herman here again. Based on your knowledge, in terms of saving institutions, what is kind of average these days you get in terms of interest on your savings?
All right, so it goes from under 1% to up to 4%, right? Some contracts, according to what you have, they have 4.5% guarantee. That was if you take it on a little bit earlier. They have 1% guarantees. And then it have contract with volatility. It could go up to 6 and 7%. But you must remember, let me just share the formula with you, so in case when you hear the word volatility, what that really means. So I'll give you an example so you can understand what volatility is. Now, if you take a unit, right, and a unit costs $10, and you pay $100, then you will have 10 units. So you have 10 units of $10, which you paid the $100 for. Let me show you what volatility is. So if you have the 10 units, that remains the same. The 10 units will not change. It's just, we're going to multiply by the price. So at the beginning, you buy it at $10. That's how we get the 100. Volatility is this. It drops to $5. So you know your 10 units, multiply by 5, your value is $50, not the units, the value. So therefore, it's now $50. The next month, it goes to $20. So your 10 units is now at $20, making it $200. So you see, it started at 100, it went down to 50, and then it go up to 200. That is volatility. The changes of the value of your account, not your shares, the value. So as such, when you hear the term called paper financial loss, what they're really saying is only when you surrender the particular instrument that it will be value at whatever it is at that time, right? So it's important. So if you know you're coming up to retirement and you don't want to lose that, then you will take a less volatile instrument during your retirement and try to plan into more ones, more fixed, where the value will be, or the price will be stable. So if you buy it at 10, it stays at 10. So it will always be 100 plus whatever little interest you have. So that is for security and capital preservation. But on the market right now, it runs from as low as under 1% to up to 4-5%, based on the instrument that you have. And it's always based on the volatility of the fund. So it's just a matter of what you will want the objective, and and of course the dynamics goes higher based on the amount of money you have. It will have other funds like bonds and so forth, and treasury bills that you can get, but those things are at 10,000 per. So that is where it might be a little bit difficult, but you get a better return, but it goes at some higher values, par values. All right. So that is what you can look at.
Anybody else? I'm seeing on the chat, Brother Brumant. Sister June was asking how you can be contacted. Sister Natalie, Mina comments, who given 5%, maybe the government bonds?
Most likely the government bonds, based on when you take it and how long it will be for. Right? So yes, the 5%, they have bonds right now running at 7%. But it is a special bond and it needs a special amount, right? So the amount is like really high, right? So maybe 100,000 and thing. So if you have 100,000, you know you need to get 5%, sure, you'll get it back in about maybe 2-3 years or even a 5 years period, as the case may be. Right? By the number, anyway, the number of contact is 788-4664. That's the number for those who will want some kind of advice. So it's 788-4664.
Any more questions for Brother Brumant?
Me here again, the old man here again. Unit trust. Is that they have different instruments, or it's just one kind of investment in the trust? Is it a different thing?
Okay. No, we actually going into financial planning, but I will answer the question for you today.
Yeah.
I want to explain what is a mutual fund. The mutual fund is really a body, right, of funds put together and purchase where they come together, the investment come together and purchase a number of shares. So what it does is it prevents you from going directly into a share and buy each one of them individually. So what that does is that if you, let's say you buy Agostini share and Agostini goes down, then all the investment goes with it because the company no longer in active, is no longer active. Whether a mutual fund does is buy several, put it in a portfolio, and then sell you a unit out of that portfolio. And then, of course, unit multiplied by the portfolio, by the price, NAV, which is net asset value, total asset divided by the number of total investment by the number of units, give you the net asset value. And what they do is they take your share units multiplied by the net asset value and you will get a total. So let me tell you what it is. Really, there are really 4 of them in any aspect. the income fund, the growth fund, the income and growth fund, and the growth and income fund. Now, it's sounding like it's similar, but it is not. The income fund is the change, is when you want income coming out of it. So you will not get as much of appreciation of the unit. The growth fund, right, is the appreciation of the price you pay for it to where the new price is. So you want appreciation of price. The growth and income fund is concentrated more on growth, which is the appreciation of your value, than the money dividends, as you know it, in the fund. And the income and growth fund is more focusing on income, which is the dividends, as compared to the value increase. So those are the four. So unit trust has the one that you are common with is the money market fund and the income and growth fund, which is the first and the second unit scheme. The first scheme, income and growth. The second unit scheme, money market. And money market fund is they stabilize your account. So if it's $20, you'll get back your $20. So it's not focusing too much on the growth. You might be more focusing on the income. All right? So that is how it does work.
Just a couple more comments from the chat. Pastor David Ali said, thanks for an informative session, Brother Brumant. Sister Trudy Lewis says, wonderful session. Thanks.
Thanks, Sister Trudy. No problem at all. Those are great people that give those comments. And I thank you very much for that. And thanks for coming.
Any more questions?
I just have a comment. And again, I am the eternal optimist. I am confident that there will be some action taken at the different levels after these sessions. Because one of the things that we know is that we go to seminars, we go to sessions, we hear good stuff. There are a lot of good intentions to start it. It doesn't happen. I'm hoping that, like, after last week's session and this week's session, there would be a concerted effort at the various levels, whether it be personal, at the assembly level, to implement these things so that at the end of the day, I remember seeing a quote, it says that debt is the biggest form of slavery. So they say that slavery has not been abolished, it has just been redefined. And what we hear in here, these are strong measures to bring us out of slavery. So I'm hoping that after this is my prayer, that we would definitely do things at the various levels to create some traction with what we heard tonight. Thank you so much.
No problem at all, brother. My pleasure.
Anyone else? Yes, Sister June, I see that comment. The Bible said the borrower is servants to the lender. That's a response to what was said just now. Well, if there are no other questions at this time, I'd like to turn over to our Senior Pastor Reverend Ryan Williams. Pastor, there?
Right here.
All right.
I want to say how much I appreciated our session today. Brother Brumant, you did a remarkable job in helping us develop a healthy understanding of retirement, what retirement entails, what happens when we retire, and how we could adequately prepare for retirement. And based on the questions, I believe this is really a relevant topic um, for us. And it's also a reality that we all will face as human beings, regardless of our age. Retirement is a reality, and it is a change in life. And so, based on what you shared tonight, what I believe your objective was to adequately prepare us for this change in life. So, I really, on behalf of the church's leadership, on behalf of everyone who's on tonight, I really want to appreciate you, Brother Brumant, for tonight's discourse. It was truly beneficial. Sister Devendra, I want to appreciate you for hosting our session tonight. And I know they're on, but I would like to also appreciate our finance committee. We have a church finance committee led by Sister Rudy Antanis, and this team works very hard behind the scene putting together Stewardship Month. So we want to appreciate you, Sister Rudy and team, for a job well done. We have one more installment in the Stewardship Month teaching, and that session is going to focus on starting small business and entrepreneurship. That's going to be next week, Tuesday. So I'd like to encourage all of us to join, to be a part of it. Feel free to invite a friend. And if you will be with us on Sunday mornings, we will, this Sunday, we are going to focus on the area of finances as well. And to just hear what the Lord is speaking to us and saying to us through finances. One of the things I know is God blesses us, a blessing. So he helps us, he provides for us, he's our provider. He is Jehovah Jireh. He provides for us, and in his provision, he takes care of our needs. He takes care of our families, etc. But I also believe that part of the reason why God blesses us is so that we could contribute towards the kingdom. We could contribute towards the kingdom, so we could be generous people. To use our resources to help others, like the Good Samaritan, who helped a man in need, a stranger. And also you could use from your finances in ministry, towards ministry, to advance the kingdom of God. And so we really want to dedicate this month to helping us grow in financial wisdom, and also to encourage us to give to God's work. So again, Brother Brumant and everyone, thank you. Thank you for a great session tonight. Our YouTube audience, thank you for viewing. Let me see that you can go back and look at these sessions on our church's YouTube channel. You could look at last week's session on our YouTube channel. If you dig good enough, you could also look at our session on estate planning by Sister Francine Wilson some time ago. And you could also feel free to share with a friend. All right. So everyone, thank you again, and God bless you. So we're gonna close in a prayer. So Sister Davy, I hand back over to you at this time to close us in prayer.
Yes, thank you, Paz. And again, Brother Bruman, thank you so much for a very informative session.
Yeah.
I know I took away a lot from it. I still have some way to go before retirement, but we would think there's so much time, but it's just around the corner. So I appreciate the wisdom. Thank you so much. And I know a lot of people have benefited as well. I pray that God would continue to use you and direct you as you continue to share of your wisdom and your knowledge to bring understanding to others. Once again. All right. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for being on tonight. Brother Herman, could I ask you to close us off with a word of prayer, please? And afterwards, we could all unmute and say our good nights and greet each other.